Hi everyone. Yesterday I had posted a question, okay, and the question was this: that what is the best time to have water during the meals? Okay, so can you have it during the meals, immediately after the meal, or 30 minutes before, or 30 minutes after the meal? Okay, so there is no common consensus, I would say, but if you have to choose one option, then the best option would be 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after the meal. That's one of the best option you can choose. Okay, now there is no human study which I found, which has been done, which is there to prove this point. But yes, whatever I'll be speaking today are the principles of Ayurveda, which has been followed since ages in India, and this is a very, very logical explanation also. Okay, so today we are not going to talk about who is correct and who is wrong. We are just going to talk about the logic. All right, and let me explain the logic. So let's say if you're having the water during the meals, okay, and immediately after the meals, let's see what happens in that. Okay, what is the possibilities? Okay, so during the meals, let's say if you're drinking water, now understand, during the meals you're chewing the food. Okay, while you're eating, okay, you're chewing. Now, there is a purpose for this chewing. You chew the food so that the food is broken down into smaller quantities, smaller particles, so that the digestion in the stomach and small intestine is facilitated. Okay, that's the whole purpose of chewing. The other purpose is also that the salivary amylase mixes with the food properly and the absorption of the starch is facilitated in the small intestine. Okay, so that's the purpose of chewing. Now, let's say if you are drinking water, especially in more quantities, while you are chewing, then water cannot remain in the mouth for a long period of time. Okay, you can't chew and keep water at the same time in the mouth. Okay, it's very difficult. So you are going to swallow the water immediately. Now, if there are bigger chunks of food particles which are there still in the mouth, you are going to swallow those particles also. So they will not be broken down into smaller quantities, and then you may end up with nutrient deficiencies and other intestinal problems. Okay, so the digestion is not going to happen properly. Okay, so that's the problem if you are going to sip water. Okay, if you are going to take water in larger quantities, especially while you are chewing. But having said that, let's say if you are sipping little bit, okay, sometimes if you are having some dry food, okay, which is very dry, then that little bit sip of water can actually facilitate chewing. Okay, so वो जो खाना जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा कड़क है, ठीक है, उसको वो थोड़ा सा सॉफ्ट बना देगा और chewing को facilitate कर देगा. That is the advantage of taking the sip little bit. Okay, use your common sense. Okay, so that is the advantage. Second thing, let's say if you have chewed and if you are trying to swallow and it is too dry and you are finding it difficult to swallow, at that time a little sip of water can actually help to push the bolus of food into the stomach. So in these conditions, taking little bit sips of water makes sense. Okay, now let's talk about, if you are taking large quantities of water, especially immediately after the meals, what can happen? Okay, now you should understand what is the function of hydrochloric acid in our stomach. This is very important to understand. So hydrochloric acid in the stomach has three important functions. Okay, the first function is digestion of proteins. Okay, second is absorption of nutrients. Okay, like iron, calcium, B12. Okay, and the third function is that it prevents infections. Okay, now understand the pH of the stomach is between 1 to 2. It has to be between 1 to 2. Okay, and digestion of proteins happens only because of one enzyme which is called as pepsin. Okay, so pepsin is formed from another enzyme which is called as pepsinogen. Okay, now pepsinogen can get converted into pepsin only between pH 1.5 to 2.5. So अगर ये pH maintain नहीं रहेगा, ठीक है, then pepsinogen will not get converted into pepsin and it will affect protein digestion for sure. Okay, so आपका protein अगर digestion नहीं होगा तो protein वहाँ से पड़ा रहेगा या आगे चला जाएगा, and then it can lead to multiple intestinal issues. So for protein digestion, okay, it is very, very important that we maintain the pH of the stomach. pH of the stomach should also be maintained for nutrient absorptions like calcium, iron and B12. उसके बिना ये nutrients का absorption होना मुश्किल है. Third, pH of the stomach जो है, हाइड्रोक्लोरिक एसिड जो है, उसका और एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शन है कि इन्फेक्शंस को प्रिवेंट करता है. हमारे खाने में बैक्टीरिया, वायरसेस, फंगाई, ये सब चीजें होने वाली है. सो इफ यू वांट to prevent yourself from these infections, the hydrochloric acid, it is very difficult for these organisms to survive between the pH of 1 to 2. Understood? Okay, that's the whole purpose of hydrochloric acid. Now if you're drinking water, especially in large quantities, immediately after the meal, it is going to dilute this and it is going to affect all these functions, and that is how people land up with problems like dysbiosis, indigestion, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is called as SIBO, irritable bowel syndrome, and whatnot. So if you don't follow these eating principles, okay, then you can land up with these problems. Having said that, yes, if you're having water 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after, it's not going to create much of a problem, especially if you are okay with it. But yes, if you feel a little bit of thirst, okay, then I would recommend, if you want to have, you can have little bit of water immediately after the meal. Like for example, if I have to take my supplements, I have them with very little water immediately after the meal. But by and large, I do not drink water during the meals completely. So I hope this video has helped you. So you see what is the best suitable option for you. I have just mentioned about the logics which are associated with drinking water, while we are having meals. Okay, so gauge it for yourself, see what's best suiting you. But if you have some problem with digestion, then you need to change. All right, I hope this video helps. Thank you very much.